Hi there, welcome to this session on online language assessments at the Centre for Lifelong Learning. I'm just going to run through exactly how you access your online language assessments and then give you a quick example of how an assessment might look and how you navigate it. So the first thing to note, the system that we use for our online language assessments at CLL is called CPD at My Place. Now, you don't need any login for this system. You will log in via My CLL, the same system that you use to book all your classes. So the same username and password that you would use for My CLL, you'll use to access these assessments. So you'll have 3 assessments throughout the year, a midpoint assessment halfway through, and then a listening and an end of term assessment towards the end of your class. Your tutor may also create some practice quizzes for you just to get used to using the system throughout the year and also to give you a chance to practice your learning. So what I'm going to do is just log into My CLL now and show you exactly how that will look. So you would just go into the usual site, mycll.strath.ac.uk. And if you go to the top button here and click in Login. So it's just your username and password that you would normally use to log in, and click on that. And this will take you to the home page. So you'll see here under My Activity, you just click on Overview, and it will take you to your class here, your current enrolments. So you'll see here, this one says German 1A. That will obviously depend on what language you're doing and what level. That will differ. And you'll have the normal green briefcase that's usually there that takes you to the learning space where your tutor may upload resources. That's still there. But you'll see this new icon, which is a red easel, and that will take you directly to the CPD My Place page. So when you're ready, if you just click on that, it'll take you directly through. Now you'll see here, this says German 1A. Assessment. Again, that'll differ depending on what class you're doing, but in general, the page will look very much like this. So there'll be different headings here, and underneath each heading, if you click on the little arrow, there may be some information under each one. So this has a statement for academic integrity, class quizzes, and the midpoint assessments. So when the assessments are actually ready to be completed, they will appear under here. This one is not yet ready to be completed, but when it is, it'll appear here. And as the year progresses, you'll see different assessments coming up here, your listening assessment and then your end of term. But at the moment, we're just going to look at the first one here, the academic integrity statements. If you click on that, you'll see a button here that says academic integrity. Now, we just ask all students before you do any assessments with us that you click on this here, you read the statement about making sure all the work is your own and you're not discussing it with anyone else. And then we just want to ask you to click it to acknowledge that you've read it and then save your choice. So we just ask that you do that for each of your classes that you're taking part in. So to go back to the German assessment here, the main page, it just takes me here. Now, just to flag at this stage, all the assessments on your class are completely optional. If you want to take the class for credit, you will need to complete all and pass all the assessments. However, if you're not taking the class for credit, you don't have to complete the assessments. However, they are optional, so you can still do them if you want to, if you're learning, even if you're not gaining credit for the class. So as I said, your tutor may prepare some quizzes just to practice. They'll be in the same format as the actual assessment, so it'll give you a good chance to use it and get familiar with it before you actually start your assessment. And it'll also be a good way for your tutor to give you some practice in using the language written and answering and reading questions on that. So I'm going to click on this right here, and this you'll see here, there's just a practice quiz. So what I'm going to do is just run through that quiz to give you an example of how a quiz will look. So if I click on that there, this is what you'll see here. So you'll now see the dates that the quiz is opened. So depending on which assessment it is that you're doing, the midpoint assessment is an open book assessment, which means you don't need to complete it in one sitting. You can take your time to come and back and forth. However, there will be a date that it opens and there will be a deadline for submitting it. So you need to make sure that you've done it within that time period, but you can come and go as you please. And I'll show you how that looks in a little while. The other 2 assessments, the listening and the end of term, are timed assessments. So again, there'll be a time period of when you can complete it. Usually it's a week time that you're given. But when you actually start the assessment, you'll have a timer will appear and it will count down. So for the listening assessment, you'll have 30 minutes and you can listen to the recording as many times as you wish. However, the end of term is 1 hour and 30 minutes. And again, a timer will appear there to count down. There is an essay question usually at the end of term assessment, and you will be given that 1 week in advance to prepare. So you'll copy and paste that into your assessment. You wouldn't be expected to also write that within the time period. Now, if you haven't finished your attempt within the time period, it will submit all the answers that you have done until that time. So just be aware of that when you're completing your assessments. So when you are ready to start, you'll see here the dates and times that the quiz is open. So you just click on this button here that says attempt quiz now. And this will take me onto the quiz here. So when you come to do your assessments and probably your quizzes that your tutors prepare, there'll be a lot more questions in this example. But this just gives you a short example of how it might look. So up here, you'll see there's 4 questions. A normal assessment will have many more, but this is the quiz navigation section that gives you a good overview of how the quiz will look. Now, question 1, here we have 4 different kinds of examples here for you. So we've got a true or false, a multiple choice, and we'll have a short answer and an essay question. The way these are set up is that you don't have to complete them in order. If you want to go in and have a look at the different questions before you answer anything, you can do. Again, you may have more time to do that in the midpoint assessment. You may not have as much time to do that in the end of term. You might just want to get started when the timer goes, but you can navigate through the quiz before you even start. So if you click next page, it'll take you on to the next one here. Next page again, it'll take you on to question 4. So this only has 4 questions and you can navigate your way through. So you can use the previous page button and the next page button, but you can also click on the specific questions here. Question 1 is on the same as page as question 2. Question 4 is on a page on its own. So it's up to you how you best want to do it. You might want to prefer to do the written part first or the reading part, however you prefer. But when you are ready, the first question here is just a simple true or false question. So the C in CLL stands for centre. So I'm going to click true. You can change your mind. If I decide it's false, I'll click on that and it will replace the answer. So don't worry if you don't get it right straight away, you can change your mind. Question number 2 here is a multiple choice question. What does the C in CLL stand for? So you look at your 4 options here. If you're not entirely sure of a question, there is an option to flag a question here. This where it says flag question. If you click on that, you'll see that a red flag appears. That might just be a question where you're not 100% sure of the answer. I'm going to put in centre, but what I want to do is double check and come back to that one at a later date. I'm going to move on to the next page. This is just a simple short answer question. So what does the first L in CLL stand for? So you would just type in on your keyboard your answer there. Happy with that. And then this is an essay question. This is probably the most common type of question that you're going to see in your assessments. Even though it might not be an actual essay question, what you'll see is this box appearing with the different options to give you to type in. Now, something to be aware of here is this is again up to you how you prefer to answer essay questions. You may prefer to write in Word if you're comfortable that way, and then copy and paste over onto this. When it comes to your actual essay questions, in the end of term assessment, as I said, you will be given that in advance. So you will likely have written that in Word because you won't have time to do that in your timed assessment and copy and paste it over. But you can also do it in the midpoint assessment as well if you wish to type on Word and then just copy and paste. So if you were just wanting to type directly in, you can do that. So what the question is, what do I enjoy most about learning languages with CLL? I'm just going to click I enjoy learning new things and meeting new people. So you can type directly in the text box. As I say, you can type in Word. So what I'm just going to do here is just go into a Word document. So I've got this written here. I'm just going to right click it, copy, go back in, right click it and paste. So that's an option as well. Copy and paste, or you can type directly in. Now, obviously with languages, there's a lot of different characters that you might want to use. So how you do that within this section, there's a button here. If I hover over, you'll see show hide advanced buttons. So I'm going to click on that and a whole lot of advanced buttons will show up here. You won't need the majority of these about underlining, bolding, italics, different alignment, but the button you will probably want to use is this one here. I'm going to hover over it. It says insert character. Now, if you click on that, you'll see all these different options that appear with different characters. So you may need some of these for your writing of your foreign languages. So I'm just going to do an example here, an accent on an E. And that you'll see that's inserted that in. So there's different ways that you can do it. You can type the word out and then highlight it. So if I wanted to highlight a character, an E accent on that, I would highlight it, click it here, and then it gives it there. Or you can type the word and then just add that in. So I was going to put cafe with an E, again, insert my character, and there it is there. Now you may prefer to do this in Word if you're more comfortable that way and paste it, but this is the option here. So I'm just going to remove that and leave my answer as that, take away the accent just now. So that's me looked at all my questions, and I'm quite happy with that just now. So as I say, if you want to go away and come back with the midpoint assessment, you can. If you click on finish attempt, you'll see here all your answers. So it tells me here I've got four questions and I've put an answer for all. But this is where I remember that I've got a red flag next to that one. So I want to just go back in and have a look at that one again. So if you just click on 2, it'll take me back to that question. Now I'm going to look at it again, and I'm pretty sure that that's my answer C. So I'm going to remove the flag and go back to the next page. Happy with that one, happy with that one. Finish attempt. So if at this point you want to go away and come back, you can. When you come back in, your answers will be saved. When you come back into the assessment here, when you log on again to this site again, if you go back in to the question, it'll show you've started it. It'll say here in progress, and you can continue the last attempt and it'll take you back to where you left off. So that's only for the midpoint assessment. You can do that, and for all the quizzes that you have practicing that a tutor may do for you. So once you're happy with it, you would just click on finish attempt. And it'll give you again the deadline here, the date that it has to be submitted by. Again, if you don't submit by that date, it'll automatically submit the work that you have done. But I'm happy with it. I'm ready to submit. So I'm going to click on this button, submit all, and finish. Now, again, you get one more chance just to check. Once you submit, you cannot change your answers. You only get one attempt at submitting it. So just make sure you're really happy here before you submit. But I am happy with my answers, so I'm going to submit all and finish. And here, just get a summary. I have finished the assessment on today at the time that I have done, and no more attempts are allowed, no longer allowed to submit again. Now, when you actually come to be you're marked by your tutor, it'll say here when it's been reviewed, and this is where you'll go on and click and you'll be able to see your answers. But please be aware that some of the quizzes mark questions automatically. It's the way the system is set up, but some of them don't, and the tutor needs to manually mark them. So if you click your quiz finishes and it says review here, do not go in and look at it and check your answers, because it will not be fully complete until your tutor has actually marked it. So it may give you an incorrect result there, and that is not your actual result. So don't panic if it's not what you're expecting. What your tutor will do is your tutor will come onto the page when all the assessment mark and will post an announcement in this section here. You'll see there's no announcements here at the moment, but when your tutor has marked the quiz or the assessment, they'll put an announcement to say that. And then when you click back into it, you'll be able to review it here under this. There'll be a section here that will allow you to view it. It won't at the moment because it hasn't been marked, but it will when it's been marked by your tutor. So that's your quiz practice there. So when your midpoint assessment is ready, or your tutor completes any more quizzes, they'll be under here, or your midpoint assessment will be here. It may appear, but it will not actually allow you to open it until the date that it's actually opened, and that will depend on your class, and your tutor will make you aware of when your class is going to open. So hopefully that's a helpful introduction to the assessments and how they'll work. If you do have any questions on this, we are here to offer support to you. There is also a guide that you'll have been provided that will take you step by step through this. But if you have any specific questions about the content of the assessments, please contact your tutor directly. But if you have more technical questions about my CLL or my the CPD My Place account, please contact our operations team at the Centre for Lifelong Learning on the address here. But good luck with your assessments. Thank you.